Okay, what you're looking at is the remnants of what once was for me my days in ham radio, which ended, I put the ending year maybe at around 1968, which was very shortly after I got out of the Army. I was drafted in the 60s. But prior to when I was drafted, I was an active ham radio operator, but I only had a novice license. I never went for my general license because the Army interrupted that. And when I got out, I kind of seemed to be somewhat aimless in where I was going, but I became a professional musician, and between being an active horseman and my pursuit in music, something had to go, and I guess I pushed ham radio out of my life. Now below the receiver you see, that is a Hallicrafters SX42. Very, very good receiver. Now that receiver is actually not the receiver I had when I was a kid, but it is very much like it. I had an SX43, and that of course got shuffled away with time. It was given to someone who got interested in radio and ultimately never given back to me. This box that you see with the meter on it is my CW transmitter. It has one tube in it, and it's 40 and 80 meters. There was a plate and load knob. The knob for one of the plate or the load is missing, but this transmitter did work. I transmitted, I sent CW out on it, I had contacts, and I built it from plans that were in the ARRL handbook. The only difference is the meter. The original plans had a bulb, a light bulb there, and you just tuned for maximum brightness. I kind of like meters, so I put that meter in. This little light up switch here is the 40 and 80 meter switch. If it was green, lit up green, it was 40 meters, red, it was 80 meters. At least I think that's how I had it, and of course here we have the crystal. And then next to it are some high frequency handy talkies. I believe they were 455 or something megahertz. I can't remember where they were, but they're very high frequency. I built those also from the handbook. They did work. The only problem I had with them is when you transmitted, to receive you had to adjust your dial just slightly. They transmit and receive was not quite in sync, and I don't know why. But they worked very well, actually. Took quite large batteries. Each one has a single Nuvistor tube in it. Now, Nuvistor tube is a very interesting thing. It looks like a transistor, but it's actually a little tiny metal vacuum tube. And that's what those have in it. If I ever fix them up to get them working again, I'll probably have to get batteries from our friendly YouTube battery maker. I'm sure that the batteries that they used are no longer available. But if I ever get them going again, I'll make a little video of it. But this represents my youth in ham radio. Like I say, the SX42, I bought that years and years ago from the estate auction of an electronics person I once knew. They had an auction of all of his equipment, and I always admired his SX42, and so I bought it, but I had an SX43. Now here, what you're looking at is my recent something I acquired within the last week. The Swan 500CX. It's a special, actually. I bought that from a very nice eBay seller, and it is going to eventually be my walk back into ham radio. At least I hope it's an easy walk. I left it behind 40 plus years ago and forgot most of what I knew then, and then I was only a novice. But that transceiver, it's 1968 vintage technology. I could have bought a Yaesu or an ICOM There's some used ones that are sold on eBay that are not really expensive, and of course those radios, they tune themselves. You can almost put any kind of an antenna on it, and if the antenna is so obnoxious to the radio simply just not allow you to transmit. This radio, you have to know what you're doing. You have plate and load adjustments. You only have so many seconds before you melt the final output tubes. I remember how that was when I was a kid, and I saw other OMs tuning up their transmitters, and I had mine that I tuned up. I had a Johnson Viking transmitter that I played around with. Down below, any of you OM hams are looking at this video, you might be amused at these books, but I bought these. I'm pretty much through the technician manual. I hope to take the technician and general test before fall. I figure by fall I might have the station set up. I certainly have no intention of keying the microphone until I have a valid ham radio license. I believe in that. I was a real ham when I was young, even though I never got beyond my novice license. And of course there's the extra class manual. Once I get my general license, I hope to be able to go through that, and I'll probably try for the extra class license. I feel at my age, I'm 62, I think I should be there. I'm getting close to retirement, so I figure that I should walk back into this, step back into it, if you will, and hopefully I'll renew some interest that I had left alone so many years ago. I really like that D104 mic. I just think that's just the neatest looking mic. I'm anxious to get into this, and hopefully the next video I'll be on the air.